Hi, it's Cathy with inkingitupwithcathy.com, and I am back with a cute little fun fold here. I fell in love with this little Martian from the Flying By stamp set, and I wanted to do something with it, and I thought this was perfect. So it says, "Hey friend" on the front, and then it's one of these little rotating cards, and they are flying around on the inside. So let's get started, and I'll show you how to make this card. So the stamp sets you'll need is Flying By for the little Martian, Say Hey for this sentiment right here, the Unbounded Love for the happy birthday, and the last thing is you're going to need the Under the Moon stamp set. And I borrowed a friend's stamp for that and gave it back to her before I decided to film this video. And I also had borrowed the clouds. And so my one that I'm showing you is going to be a little bit different, and then I'll get that stamp set on order in order to put that on there. But let's get started. For the dies, you're going to need the Alphabet a la Mode dies for the word friend. You're going to need the Stylish Shapes dies, and the two circles you're going to need are these two here, the second largest and third largest. And all I did was took some washi tape and put them together and cut so that I got an open frame from it. And finally, the Spotlight on Nature dies. And I've got this second largest dashed one. Let me grab that for you. This one here, it's the second largest. Now, you don't have to have all of these. You're just going to need some various circles. And all you want to make sure is, if you can see, the cut is on the outside of this one, but the cut line is on the inside of this one. So you just want to make sure that this piece is smaller than this one. So let me actually show you the pieces that we've cut. It might be a little easier to see. So as you can see, it is just a tad bit smaller. You just want to make sure that this piece here is going to be larger than this piece, okay? So let's discuss the papers that you're going to need. First, you're going to need a piece of, this is Misty Moonlight, and it is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Next, you need a piece of Gray Granite that is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. If you'd like to make this even easier, you can do the standard 4 by 5 1/4. I have taken double-sided adhesive, the adhesive sheets, and placed it on the back here in the center and die cut out the word friend using my dies. And how I did that was to line them up and use washi tape. Now you can see on this one that that D and the N are not in there straight. If you make sure that these are straight, then you can use this as a template for replacing them when putting them on. But because I cut these out this way, we won't be able to do that. I'll have to do it more freehand. You're also going to need a piece of boho blue that's 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And you'll be embossing the word hey up here. And I use silver embossing powder. I went ahead and did that off camera. But all you're going to do, as you normally do, is remember to use the embossing buddy on it, then stamp using Versamark ink, and then embossing it. Then you're going to have a piece of 2 inch by, let me get down here to my notes, 5 1/4 inch. And this is from the Take to the Sky DSP. And this will be at the bottom on the inside. And I kind of thought it looked like skyscrapers, and so that's why I used it. Now on my finished card, I used a friend's stamp set and got clouds, but in the Take to the Sky DSP, there's also these clouds, so I thought I'll use that one today. Finally, you're gonna need, oh, and here, this piece here, because the mechanism on the card that I stamped, I just stamped a cloud here, but because we're using a DSP, I cut a piece that's 1 inch by 3 inches to put on that mechanism. And finally, I've got a few other Misty Moonlight pieces. So these are a 1/2 inch wide, and they are 2 inches, 2.5, and 3. And these are just scrap pieces. You need to have them at least 2 inches long. But if they're longer, that's okay too. Don't worry about the length of them so much. This one is going to be just under 1 inch wide by 3 inches long. And then our final piece is the mechanism. And this is 1.5 inches wide by 5 inches long. And we're going to do some scoring to create the mechanism. So I'm going to bring my cutter in, get some room here. And we'll work down here at the bottom, and I want to make sure you can see that really well. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to score at 1/2 inch. So that will be a score. I'm going to score at 1 inch. Just like that. And then at 1.5 inch. So 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 1.5 inches. And then all the way down here at 4.5 inches. So on this side, I have 3 1/2 inch panels, and on this side, I have 1. I'm now going to move my scoring tool out of the way, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to put this edge at 1/4 inch out here, and I'm going to cut up to that scored line, okay? And I'm going to just bring that up right up to that. And then I'm going to move it over to the other side on this side of the cutting track to 1/4 inch, and we're going to cut 1/4 inch on this side again up to that 1.5 inch score line, just like that. And our final thing is we're going to bring that scoring tool down again. Now if you start from this side and count this, panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, I'm going to from this edge of panel 3, go on a diagonal to the edge of panel 2. Get those lined up, drop that in, and score. And then I'm going to turn it the opposite way. And again, the bottom of panel 3 and the top of panel 2, I'm going to put another score. Okay, I can move this out of the way. And so this is what your piece looks like. And I hope, let's put it like this, and I hope you can see those scores well. Okay, so we'll take this and we'll snip here and take and throw away that little piece and snip on this side and throw away that little piece. Okay. The other stamping you'll need to do is I had taken a piece of gray granite and stamped the happy birthday from Unbounded Love in Misty Moonlight. And then you can either fussy cut it, or if you have a scan and cut, you can use your scan and cut like I did to cut that out. And then you're going to need 4 of the little Martians. So I've colored these with blends. I'm going to talk to you a little bit on this one. So again, you can fussy cut these out or use your scan and cut. To color my Martians, I have a Balmy Blue Light blends, and I've colored just the dome of the little spaceship, and then Granny Apple Green Light for his eyes and mouth so they glow. Now, I have had some people say, well, you can't use the dye-based inks and the blends together. You can, but what you cannot do is continually go back and forth. You'll start to muddy them. But if you just very quickly go over them and stay off of them as much as possible. So I'm going to come here. This is the gray granite. Oh, I'm sorry, smoky slate light. And I'm kind of missing those circles. And I'm not going to really worry about getting into these bands because I'm going to come back with the darker colors. So I'm not going to have to worry about that. And you can see how I'm kind of missing those, and you'll be all right. Even if you go over them a little bit, you just don't want to continually go over them. They'll stay and not bleed. Finally, I'm just going to do these bands here real quick. So if you're doing a lot of actual blending, you'll not want to use the dye-based inks. But if you're just doing a quick coloring around them, you'll be all right. Okay, so we've got those set. So we'll get them out of the way. And we'll do a little bit of assembly here on the inside of the card. We'll take our 2 DSP pieces. And place them. And this is at the bottom, and there is a little matting. So there is 1/8 of an inch all the way around it. And then here, same thing at the top. And they will meet in the middle. Just like that. Okay. So for the front, I'm going to go ahead and take my friend pieces out. Now, if they're stubborn about coming out, you can always leave behind the adhesive sheet backing. But these are going to... There we go. Okay, so we've got those, and that's going to go on here. So I'm going to use my grid paper, and I'm going to use this one because I want it, let's say, yeah, about 1 block up using my grid paper. And I'm going to use the edge of this as my straight line. So I've got that there. And I'll start with my D. Peel it back. Let me just move this up so I'm more in the middle of the camera. And place that there. Now, if you want, you can use some washi tape or a Post-it to kind of hold that in place so it doesn't slide around, but I'm gonna just kind of use my hand. So I'll peel off the D. Make sure that I am 1 block up, not 2. So I'll take my bone folder and just kind of press down on them and get them to adhere really well. And then attach that to the friend. And we can attach that to the front of the card. Now you can leave this adhesive sheet backing, doesn't hurt it to just stay in there, but I just kind of tear it back off so that I've got even more adhesive. I'll even get more secure attachment. All right, and then we're going to need one little guy on the front. Okay, so we'll put a couple of dimensionals on the back. And he goes right up here. Oh, it's got a little leftover from my scan and cut paper. All right. So now the front of our card is done. We'll start working on the inside. So with the mechanism on the right-hand side, we're gonna get this piece here and our DSP piece. And we're going to attach the DSP right in here. Okay. And this is a little bit long. So I'm going to trim off a little bit here, like that. So my measurement is actually 3 inches. I must have cut that at 3 1/4. This one here, I'm going to take at an angle from the 1/2 inch here and kind of eyeball a 1/2 inch. You don't have to be perfect because this is not going to be seen. And I'm going to trim off a little edge, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here to create a point. And as you can see, my two are definitely not matching. Not a problem. We're going to turn this over, and if you can see real closely, these score lines kind of create a point here, and that's what you want to do, is place this in here, and it's really just a support. And that's all, especially for this score line here, which we are not going to be using. We don't want it to bend on that. So that's why we're gonna put that there. So we'll take our adhesive, and in this case, I'm gonna start to use my liquid glue, because when you're using something with a mechanism, you want a glue that's really gonna hold well. And this gives me a chance also to move it around and get it settled into where I want it. Doesn't have to be all the way down here. I'm more worried about this area and through here. So as you can see, I'm close to those folds, but I'm not on top of them, okay? And now we're gonna turn it back over. Now, you're gonna take this mechanism and you're gonna fold it back on one of the diagonals, open it back up, fold it back on the other diagonal, okay? And then you're going to fold in on the center one down between, like that. And you're gonna do the same with this. You're gonna fold in, okay? And then on this one, you're gonna fold back, okay? What's gonna happen is you're gonna have that be like one end, and then you'll start to see this mechanism starts to fold up just like that. And that's what you want. See that? So again, you'll be folding back on the diagonals and forward on the straight scores, and that will create that, okay? The first thing we're going to do is take this one here, put some liquid glue on it, We're going to turn it upside down and we're going to place it halfway, kind of use your line here, right up to the edge of that score line. Just like that. Okay. So that it's going to end up coming over like this. Now, before we go any further, we're going to take this circle that we cut using the 2 stitched circles, and we're going to feed that through on here. And you can just set it out of the way. Doesn't matter where, as long as you make sure it stays on this piece here. Now we're going to squish this up and we're going to place glue here. I'm going to kind of hold this closed and then we'll slide that over there. And then we're going to close our card this way. Okay, so let's get some glue on there. Oop. Just like that. Going to make it come down and be down as far as we can. That way we're not spreading glue all over the inside of our card. And we're going to press and close. We're going to give this a good press. So we want that to hold and secure before we open. Okay, now I'm going to turn this direction so you see it moving properly. And it opens up like that. See how that opens up? I'm going to just check and make sure that there's no liquid glue coming out anywhere or sticking. Now we're going to bring in these little pieces here. The first one, we're going to take 2 of them and we're going to put some glue right down here at the bottom, like that. And this one is going to turn and glue to it to create an L shape. So they'll be at right angles from each other. I'm going to get rid of all that extra glue. Okay. And while that's setting up, we're going to go to this one here. And we are going to take a little pencil or something to mark, and I'm going to use my grid paper here, and I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch, which would be 3 of my little squares, and I'm just going to on one side make a mark on the outside edge. So if you can see, I just have made a little mark right here. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut from this point here to that mark. Just like that. And it creates an angle. Now you don't want to do it at 1/2 inch like the same width because your angle won't be the right angle. To me, it kind of looks like the blade of an X-Acto knife. All right. So now we're going to come back to our mechanism. And if you look at your mechanism, you've got 4 little triangles in this area. We are going to work with the 2 of them on the right. So on the top right one here, I'm going to put glue, keeping my circle out of the way. Oops. Actually, you're going to want the circle to come over like this. Let me think about that a second. No, keep it out of the way. I'm sorry. Keep it out of the way. This point here is going to come right into the point here. So this is going to get glued down right there. making sure that this straight line follows that score. And again, I'm going to get rid of my extra glue here. And see how as you start to, it gets glued down, it's going to start to move. All right, now we're going to come to this one. This triangle down here, again, put some glue on it, and you're going to attach this point. So put the glue here. And I'm going to put my point just like that. And again, get rid of that excess glue. And give that a second, and then I'm going to move it and make sure everything moves. See how they're moving? That's what you want. Okay. It's still kind of, there we go. There we go. Okay. Now, you want to grab a pencil, and using this point here as your center, you're going to take this circle and kind of place it so it's equal distance on up, down, left and right. And on this arm here, this one to the bottom, I want you to take and mark with a pencil on either side. Okay, like that. And then move your circle out of the way. And you'll see I have two little pencil marks, and I'm going to place glue right in between them. Just like that. Okay. Going to come back with my circle, and again, getting this to be the center mark here, place this in there and glue it down. Okay. There we go. And then you want to test and make sure this all moves, and that circle will move too. And while that's still a little bit wet, you want to close your card enough to make sure that this circle is not going to come out past this edge of your card, and that you can see that this one has about 1/4 of an inch, and that's perfect. Okay, so we've got everything ready to go. Now, then the final step is this one. Well, not the final step. We've got a few things left to put, but for the mechanism, this is the final piece. This one here, which you'll have the moon stamped on, you're going to place glue here, okay? So I'll place my glue here, like that. And you want it in that pointed area and not too far back. You can use that circle as a guide. Don't go out any further than that. And you're going to place the circle over the top where it covers all of that other circle. And then as it's moving, you want to check it and make sure that that other circle doesn't show up anywhere. And I'm not seeing it showing up out here or down here. If it is, then just adjust this circle just a little bit until that gets hidden. And so what you want is that circle to always be hidden behind this one. And our final things are to take our happy birthday, and we're going to put that on some dimensionals as well. And that's just going to get placed here. I'm not going to do it because I want to get my moon stamp and get that stamped, but that's where that will go. And then our Martians, we're going to bring in our 3 other Martians. And they're going to go on our arms, but we have to do a little bit of planning because we do not want them to show when we're out, have our card closed. Now you can see this arm here actually does stick out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim that right now. So I know that I can't be any higher than that. Now it doesn't matter if they stick out when the card is open, it's just when it's closed. So I'm going to now open it back again. So this Martian here cannot stick out any more than that. So I'm going to go ahead and straighten that out. Now that I've got it. Put some glue on that arm there. Like that. And place my Martian where his top isn't any further out than that location. And once he sits there for a few minutes, I'll come back and trim those 2 little parts of that. And I'm going to get him on there good. And then I'm going to test it and make sure that he does not stick out, and he doesn't. Okay, this one here, I definitely don't want him way down here. And even so, he may stick out down at the bottom anyway. So I'm going to trim this up. I think what I want to do is have him just where he sticks out there. So I can trim about right there. There we go. And again, I'll put glue on that one. And put him on like that. And each step of the way, I'm going to just test, make sure that he disappears completely in my card, and he does. So now my final one is up here at the top, and I want him here. And looking at it, I want him about right there. So I'll trim that extra. This is why I said it doesn't matter if you are long, because we can just trim this away, but you don't want them too short. So then we'll again put our glue here. And place him on there like that. Again, testing to make sure he closes, and he does. And so I'll come back around real quick and snip off this excess Misty Moonlight. Okay, and there is your rotating arm fold card. So I hope you like that, and come on back for another card in the following weeks. Have a great day.